Welcome back into the Ohio MMA podcast. I am your host, David McKinney. Joining me on today's show for the first time is Mr. Myles Robinson. What's up, Myles?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for joining me. You're back in the cage here in a couple of weeks,
Yes,
going up
sir.
to Wisconsin, fighting at Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 25. Looks like you're going to be, I think, in the main event against Garrett Carlson. Tell me, I know you're a couple weeks out from the fight. How's training camp going? How you feeling about the fight and the opponent?
Training camp's going good. Really doubled down on a lot of things. Made a couple adjustments as far as stylistic wise from my last fight to this fight. Feel like last fight I tried to be a little bit too cute and a little bit too clean, and kind of paid for that. Um, but good. Preparation has been great. Been training with the same team, same recipe, going up to strong style. I've gotten a lot more one-on-one work with Matt this fight than I have, especially since he's retired. Has been a little bit more hands-on with this camp with me, and developing some things that I'm working on. Um, Still at West Side, building up my strength. I'm the strongest 170 in the world, so looking forward to showing that off during the fight, and really excited to test myself and then remind people who I am, and why I was one of the scariest 170s, and why I haven't really fought in Ohio recently. Haven't really been able to get any matchups here recently. I also do train with a decent amount of the 170s in Ohio, so that I'm friends with them. But outside of that, there are some 170s locally where I've been trying to get on these cards, and it's been kind of hard for me to get anybody to sign their name on that contract. So, taking another trip out of state, out of like this is my sixth fight. Five of them have been in other states. So, I'm gonna go in somebody else's stomping grounds and bring a head home.
I think you answered all my questions, man. But I only asked you one, but you answered all the ones that I had set up. So I guess
Um,
interview over. No, but yeah. So you've definitely done this before, but let's break some stuff down. So the first question I
yeah.
wanted to ask you, training at a Mortal Martial Arts Center in the Central Ohio area, I know up in Lewis Center. Training under Matt Brown, which if everyone knows that name, if you know MMA. But what's it like not only having Matt as a coach and a mentor, but specifically a guy that's at your exact weight class who's fought at the highest levels?
It's amazing. The amount of experience that he has, the amount of knowledge that he has is just boundless. Especially now that he's retired, because it's the before we were both training partners more than a coach and student relationship. So when we were having to spar each other, there's some stuff that he might not want to show me, because then I got to go out there and we're getting ready for fights, and I'm going to use that stuff against him. Whereas now he's purely dedicated to, well, he was always dedicated to helping me improve, but it's a little bit more of a concerted effort, at least as far as how I feel about it, to help me fill in a lot of the gaps in my game where beforehand might not have noticed. Or when you're dedicated to your own career, he was trying to be the best in the world himself. Couldn't even take the time out to even verbalize, because he's trying to improve himself also. But there's been a lot of things now where he's like, hey man, I've always thought this, and I think you should try and work on this. Or hey, you do this, stop. Or things like that. Um, it's been like been awesome being able to have that like kind of change in dynamic recently, and I feel like I've had like a huge amount of growth this camp. Even before like I even had the fight signed and lined up, to where like just going in and getting that one-on-one work with him has paid dividends in like my mindset, my thought process on things, and how I go about things when I do go on there and fight, or even when I'm sparring.
Yeah, and so, in addition to Immortal, which is, maybe one of the best gyms in Central Ohio, you're also training at Strongstyle up in the Cleveland area, which is, of course, one of the most respected gyms, not just in Ohio, but in the world and the sport as a whole. What's it like getting, the different looks, because you get to train with a lot of different people. So I'm sure you get some different looks and you're not able to kind of get into that true comfort zone of where you're training with the same guys all the time and then training with Marcus Marinelli and crew up there in Cleveland. So what made you make the decision? Because I know you've been doing that for a while of
Mhm.
splitting your time in between Columbus and Cleveland.
really, it was Matt had moved out to Colorado, and while he was gone, I still needed to train. And Marcus is a longtime West Side guy. And being that I was training at West Side, Louis kind of put in a word for me to be able to come up there. And Marcus was gracious enough to allow me and AJ to start going up there and training. Um, I had a little bit of a gap where I wasn't fighting, but they were like just amazing enough to let me come back after I took on my little hiatus. And just having that relationship with them, I've had them corner me a whole bunch of my fights. I feel like I'm like, those guys are my brothers up there. Um, and just the difference in style. Like Immortal is more of a kickboxing oriented gym with a jujitsu, and I would say strong style. I mean, they do have good grapplers, but there's a lot of wrestlers and boxers up there. So I feel like I get a good contrast between the two. Like I work on my kickboxing here, work on my jujitsu here, and then up there I'm able to double down on my wrestling and work on my boxing, which I feel is like a strong point of my game. um, I feel like a lot of the tools that I've like developed over a period of time have come from there, and it's just a good feeling, a great environment. There's not many like gyms that if you've ever been into strong style, there's like an aura and a good feel about it. It feels like a fight gym. Like we're all here to get after it, and I personally feel like I need that for my camps. It is rough sometimes getting up and wanting to go up there and drive the 2 hours from Columbus up to Cleveland and then 2 hours back. But so far, so good. I mean, I had one hiccup in my career since I've been doing the drive up there and back and training here at Immortal and everything. But that's not enough to deter me from changing my recipe so far. So far, that recipe that I've had has worked and I feel like it's going to continue to work from here on out.
Yeah, and then of course, you also mix in the training at West Side Barbell. I know you mentioned the late great Louis Simmons, and he's a pioneer. And the interesting thing about Louis is, if you listen to any of his interviews back, he really, kind of was a big fan of MMA, but also, you know, in Central Ohio, like Matt Brown was one of the first few guys that really started, taking powerlifting seriously, and a lot of fighters don't do that, which I always thought was interesting, because I think a lot of guys, it's like sometimes, like, you think about like the mix of like power versus flexibility, and like there's a
Mhm.
give and take there. But I know that you're a big believer in the West Side experience. So tell me what that is like, and why you think that, like, that gives you an advantage, whereas a lot of fighters don't necessarily do a ton of like heavy, powerlifting.
Yeah, I hope they don't pick up powerlifting because when they when I when I get a hold of them, I feel a difference. And to each their own. Like I feel like it gives me the confidence in my body to go out there where um, just body to body, I feel like there's not many men that can move me or can withstand of if I throw everything I have at you, just physically, my body is just kind of fortified because I like building muscle and strength is that's your body armor. Now it's upon me to go ahead and make sure I can move it as well as I can, which I feel like that's where the difference in people's ideology comes in. Is like West Side is a cog in the engine of what my fight career is. It's not the entirety of it. When you start powerlifting and you're solely powerlifting and then going out and fighting, yeah, you're gonna be a little bit stiff. There was a point in time where that was like kind of what I was doing, and I kind of stiffened up and everything. But as I've gotten older, like I just have to kind of make sure my mobility's there, and if I'm able to move and I have like I genuinely can pick up 700 pounds off the ground and squat like 600 pounds. If I can move that at a high rate of speed and make sure that all my technique is together, if me and you have the same technique, but my technique has horsepower behind it, I'm blowing through you. You know what I'm saying? Um, so really, realistically, that's just like kind of worked best for me. Um, I still think I'm fast. I'm fast as hell. I'm strong as hell. My cardio is still there. I get up and get miles in and run and everything. It's just a matter of making sure that my body's able to move as well as possible. And again, like, the results speak for themselves. I was one of the top amateur fighters. I've been one of the top pro fighters doing this the way that I've done it. And Matt has been doing it, and I'm a striker, and I feel like one of my gifts is my power. Matt has the most knockouts, like, out of anybody I know, and that was kind of his recipe. Now, again, I'm a different person and different fighter, but there's proof in the pudding of, man, if you're doing it this way, hand touch face, you go to sleep. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my thought process behind it.
Yeah, that is one of the interesting things in watching some of your fights, and I've always thought it was interesting of you as a fighter, where a lot of guys that get a lot of knockouts, they look like they're trying to go for a knockout, right? Like they look like they're throwing fastballs and throwing big
Yeah.
punches, whereas you are a guy who really just looks like you're kind of in there, throwing kind of regular stuff at like it doesn't look as
Yeah.
powerful. And I don't want you to take that the wrong way, but you're
No, I
you're dropping
understand.
guys and knocking guys out, and it's like man, that comes out of nowhere where a guy just feels it and gets dropped on like a, maybe a
Yeah.
jab or a short hook or something
Mhm.
like that. And it is fascinating to watch you as a fighter. And I think that is kind of a little bit of is probably the intrinsic thing, but then I think a big part of it too is being able to build yourself up and doing a lot of the weightlifting and having that kind of sneaky power, right? That you're
Yeah.
not like, you don't have to like open yourself up, which also helps you defensively a lot where you're not giving your opponent a lot of openings. Is that kind of on the right
Yeah.
wavelength of like what
Yeah,
you
a
see
hundred
as your
percent.
fighting style?
Like, I don't have to like force anything as long as like AJ always says, like, I, we're so natural, like, gifted naturally and physically, and then we have the horsepower behind it to where I don't have to try to be strong. I don't have to try to hit hard. If I have the technique behind all that I have, as long as I get it there, that's is kind of a wrap at that point. So that's something, as from my amateur career to my pro career, where I've really had to like learn, is that I don't have to try and tighten up everything and throw as hard as I can in order to get it there. As long as I like get my hand out as fast as possible and have the proper technique and turn and rotate and everything, and then tighten everything up at the end of my punches at the end of it, I can be as loose as possible. And being loose and kind of fighting the way that I do, to where I'm not loading up everything, kind of allows for those sneaky punches to get in, because then you're like, that doesn't look like anything, and then I touch you with it and you can't handle too many of that. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's built up over time. Like, I've had to like learn how to mix the two together as I've gotten a little bit older and like kind of gotten a little bit of more experience.
Yeah, definitely. The last two fights I just watched back, where I saw that in both fights, was your fight for B2
Yeah.
against Robert Protomani, and then your fight against Brogan
Mhm.
Andres at Cage Thunder. Both fights, the guys just get dropped kind of out of nowhere, and it's like, man, the fight's over. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
even look like you hit them that hard, but man, they definitely felt it.
For sure.
Um, you're coming off of unfortunately your first loss of your pro career,
Mhm.
which was a knockout loss. How do you kind of bounce back from that? Because I know that that's never easy to take that first loss. I mean, you were kind of riding high.
Yeah.
Went out to New Jersey and fought for ring of combat against a really tough guy.
Mhm.
I think it was actually a title fight as well, if I remember correctly, or maybe not a title fight, but
Mhm.
a super high profile fight. But
Yeah, for sure.
and you mentioned that you changed some things up, but mentally, how do you kind of come back from that knockout loss to kind of get yourself prepared to get back in there?
Mentally, it was there was a lot of things with going out there that I just kind of, it was like a learning experience. That was a bigger event than I think I've ever been on and hadn't prepared for. Like, sometimes, like, when you're fighting in these like local shows, I like, again, I've traveled around, but I haven't had like an event that was like kind of the magnitude of that. Like, it kind of got there. It was like 2,500 people in like an auditorium at the casino, and it was full of nothing but of his like fans. It was crazy. Right before I fought, there was a like a riot in the crowd. It was just a lot of like
Oh
circumstances
man,
that I wasn't. Yeah, it was wild. Like, I went to walk out for my fight, and I see someone just get tossed down the bleachers, like right when my music started playing, and then they shut down, and we had to step to the back for like 20 minutes. Um, and just mentally, even before that happened, I don't think I ever got to the place of where I needed to be for that environment. A lot of the places where I'm going into, even though, especially just how my career's gone, like I'm kind of been like I show up with Mark Coleman. I have Matt Brown with me. I'm like I don't want to say the A side because I don't want to sound like cocky or anything, but like I've shown up with these guys to where like I've been known or anything like that. And this was the first time where like it was like genuine animosity, like there. Not even like from my opponent, but like when the fight came on, or when the event started, it was like, oh, I'm not really like the guy here, which was like something, overconfidence on my side. Like I didn't have like any of I'm going into enemy territory and I need to make sure that I'm have that mindset of I need to come out here and have that thing in the back of my head of I'm not here to just take part in their event. I'm here to like take all their hopes and dreams type thing. Um, Going out there, man, the fight is the fight. Me taking my first loss. I'm gonna be honest. I figured at some point it was gonna happen. It didn't really take too much of my confidence. Um, just be based on how I fight. Like it's kill or die at the end of the day. Um, I do this because I love it. It doesn't really change anything. This shit has changed my life and changed me as a person. So it was right back to the drawing board. We get back, we have some things that we need to work on. That doesn't deter me. Like, yeah, he beat me, but I had an off night. If I go out there and I have the best performance of my life, maybe it goes differently, maybe it doesn't. It's not something I'm gonna really um, get too caught up on. There was some shit that happened like beforehand and then like during the fight that I'm not gonna use as an excuse. That man was a better man. That night his karate was better than my karate. And um, next time out, um, I have a decent amount of things I got to show for it, and again, it takes a lot off my back of having that undefeated streak. To be honest with you, like now it's like okay, like what's the worst thing that can happen is losing, and that's kind of what you like go into those things with is like you're protecting your record. I thought that's like he's a good fighter. Like now I know like what it is to be tested. Like I hadn't been tested in any of those fights, and I actually saw an interview of his. I didn't like hearing it, but it was true. It was like that was the first time I had real like I got caught in a choke during the Protomani fight, but that wasn't like I got up and it was one-way traffic after that. That was the first time where I had like real adversity happening in a fight where a dude I hit a guy and landed on him and he looked at me and it was like now we have to get after it. And even in my amateur career, I had some tough fights, but as a pro, it's been I hit you and you kind of wilt after that. Um, that was a good learning experience as far as I had a lot of hubris going into that fight, thinking that this man doesn't have anything for me. And when you get to a certain level, especially the level where I'm at and where I'm planning to go, I can't look at everybody as if they're just gonna fall by the wayside. These guys are fighting for their dreams as well, and I have to make sure that I'm ready and prepared and mentally ready to take that from them every time I get in there.
Yeah, and I think it says a lot about you too that you went into enemy territory once, lost, and you're coming back and doing the exact same thing. You're fighting in Madison, Wisconsin, fighting a guy
Yeah,
that's from Madison who's very tough, has multiple finishes on his record against some really tough guys, and that's huge, man. I feel like that's the next step up, and that's I feel like what shows the true fighter and a true top guy who wants to be there. So mad props to you. I'm excited to
appreciate it.
see this fight. I've followed Garrett a little bit just because I do Wisconsin for Tapology a little bit and,
Mhm.
and seen his him continuing to come up and it's a really good fight.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it, man. I like when guys go out and test themselves and yeah, should be really interesting. Um, let's talk about some other stuff now. So you also own your own clothing brand,
Yeah.
which is called Don't Melt, and you got some pretty cool designs. How did you get started with starting your own clothing brand, and tell me a little bit about that?
Um, I am on. if you see, I'm a little bit eccentric. Like I wear my cowboy hats and stuff. I like putting clothes on and looking good. And I kind of had like a little calling card in my amateur days. I used to say like chocolate don't melt and everything. Kind of turned it into like a mantra and took the chocolate off of it just so like for branding purposes and things like of that nature. But just more so like as I get into my career, kind of wanted something of my own that I could kind of go out and um, make my own t-shirts, take some control into like what I want to wear and whatever I want to put on. Um, yeah, it's more so of a calling card and like a cool thing of like I feel like people should put their interests out there. Like I like streetwear clothing. I like dressing nice and what some of my friends like to call haberdashery. Um, so it's just something like that I was already into, and I if I'm gonna go out and pay money to put on someone else's shirt, why not? And I actually have like something that I'm building up. Me and my cousin actually came up with the idea of the design of the melted popsicle and everything, and we kind of hashed it out like a couple years ago. And I'd never even thought it was gonna really be a thing, and eventually got the opportunity to sit down and really kind of get things rolling. And because it's my own, I get to take my own time with it and build it up as I see fit. Like I can take a step back and focus on fighting, and then when I want to go out there and put out some new collections or anything like that, I have the ability to do that as well, where I'm not on someone else's timeline or schedule. Because sometimes when like you life is happening, and if you're under like have like a brand deal with somebody else, sometimes you don't have the ability to really control or make those decisions yourself. You kind of have to acquiesce to what they want to do, which is cool and that's fine. But that's like a sponsorship thing. I want my own like brand to be something that I'm able to be in control of and be able to kind of write my own destiny. As I grow, I can build this up with me and have something to where when people see that, they correlate it with me. Um, and the cool thing about it is, as I've done it, like there's times where I get pictures sent to me of people wearing my clothing that I've never met before, never seen. People in other states now, um, and just something that I can keep on going. And the one awesome thing that has like really made it like kind of mean something outside of myself is when I see people wearing the shirts or people message me and they have the shirts, people reaching out to them with when they see the don't melt and they say that I like the message behind that and it's only two words. That's one of the coolest things, and that's kind of what keeps me going, is that like it's not this whole huge explanation behind it. It's kind of like you see it and you kind of get it, you understand it, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's neat and that's interesting, that looks cool. I got something out of that, and people coming up to me and saying, hey, I like the meaning behind that without it having me having to really explain it or anything like that, or my friends saying, hey, I appreciate that when they're wearing their shirts in the gym or anything. That means the world to me. And that's kind of what I wanted out of it in the beginning, is to just give somebody a little bit of hope or give them a little bit of inspiration and motivation to keep going.
Yeah, yeah, those are the best brands that the ones that speak for themselves and that are simple and people connect to. And I feel like you have all that, so it's awesome. So outside of fighting, I know you're a busy guy with training and you know being a pro fighter. What do you do? Do you have a full time job? Do you have any other hobbies other than your clothing brand?
Yeah, I work in sales at T-Mobile. I'm what's called a senior mobile expert. I'm just a sales rep, just a little bit higher paid sales rep. So most of my time, like literally my entire life, is my family, work, training, in some kind of rotation of that. If I'm not doing any of those things, I'm not a gamer, but I will watch people play video games. So I get way too frustrated playing video games myself that it's just like it just makes me really mad because I suck at them. I'm terrible, like
Yeah,
really, really bad. But I'm competitive, so it really makes me mad. So I've learned that I can watch people play the games that are a little bit too hard for me to play, that I'll get frustrated in, and I get a little bit of like um, fulfillment from that. But outside of that, like I hang out with my friends. We go out to Me and my wife will go out and eat some food. I kick it with the homies here and there, but I don't really have many like per se hobbies because right now I'm trying to like chase this dream as much as I can. Hang out with my kids, make sure they're a part of this as much as they can possibly be a great father and a great husband to them. Um, and yeah, I mean, really, I mean, that's about it. I'm working, selling the mess out of these phones. If anybody lives in Columbus and needs a cell phone or needs to switch their carrier, come to the Sawmill Road location and holla at me.
Yeah, yeah, I
Shameless
know right
plug
where that
right
is.
there. Yes, sir. Yeah, come holla at me if you need to switch your carrier, if you need some home internet or something. But yeah, I try to be the best in whatever I'm doing. Our store is the number one store in the country. I'm one of the top sales reps. So like I just try to be as consistent as possibly, the best father I can be as good as I can be at work, until I don't have to work that job anymore. That allows me to make sure the wife stays off my back, our bills are paid, we live in a nice neighborhood, our kids are in good schools, our cars are paid for. And then that allows me, because I'm being so consistent in the other things in life, it allows me freedom when I need to go and be a madman and chase this dream that they know they're taken care of. So um, don't really have any time for hobbies. Maybe I'll fill some of those in when I'm fighting full time and don't have to work. I'll find a little bit of time for some other things, but outside of that, really, I'm just dedicated to this life I'm living and trying to chase this dream.
Yeah, and last question before I let you get the sponsors. So, Immortal and Strongstyle both have tons of fighters, and I know you have so many great training partners. But give me name one or two fighters that we need to look for coming up in the next
Yeah,
couple of years, amateur, pro, anything like that. I know Josh Pereira, so don't say him.
yeah, Josh. Gavin Baisden has been one of my main training partners for like all of my like pro camps. He's a I believe 3-0, 2-0 or 3-0 amateur right now, but he honestly shouldn't be an amateur. It's kind of like just not fair.
Yeah, he's
And
3-0.
everybody else is gonna know like the other name is gonna be Chase Archangelo. That's my brother. Um, he's about to turn pro, and the world better get ready for that man. Walt Cy Savan, that's my brother as well. Some of the more of the immortal guys, actually like he is a Ronin guy, but I train with him at Immortal. It's going to be Max Metzger. I'm surrounded by great guys and great fighters, and I'm blessed to have the people around me that I do. Me and Josh happen to fight on the same night, so that's awesome. We have some guys. Josiah is coming up in October as well. We have a lot of guys getting ready for some good things, and the month of October should be awesome. But as far as the guys that people don't know, I would say keep an eye out for Gavin. Gavin is the real deal. That is some of the one of the hardest, most consistent guys in the gym. His striking is improved. Everybody thinks he's a grappler because he goes out and balls these guys up in like a minute, but like he honestly is like a really good striker. His grappling is, he hasn't even shown what he can do with his grappling, as scary as that is. Like he's he's the real deal. I'm like, when he turns like 25 and 26 and gets his like grown man strength, I'm gonna stop sparring him because it's gonna be problems.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
just called
yeah,
his last two fights for OCL, and definitely one of the more impressive guys coming out of the
yeah,
amateur ranks. Two back
yeah,
to back rear naked chokes in like a minute. So
yeah, he's the
he's
man.
impressive. Yeah, and then we're gonna have Josh and Josiah will be on the podcast the next couple weeks before their fights.
Awesome.
So
Hell yeah.
a little bit of a preview. But yeah, man,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
excited for your fight going up to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Do you you're gonna eat some cheese curds or drink some beer, eat some sausage after? That's the Wisconsin thing.
Um, yeah, as long as I can eat it with a smile on my face. So we got to go get the job done first, and then eat some happy food. Go get some. Hopefully, I think that's a college town. So after I whoop some ass, go out and see like what the town has to offer. My management, one of my agents, Peter, is like out there. So he lives in Madison, so he should have some connects where we can go get some good food and see what the city has to offer. But first things
Yeah.
first, get the job done. Put this man's head on a mantle, and then take care of business.
Yeah, Wisconsin's a big college town, party town. The
Yeah,
Badgers, I just looked, they play Purdue that weekend, so that'll be a fun. There'll definitely be some parties going on.
yeah, for sure.
That's I went up there for a football game when I was in college a long time ago, and it's a fun atmosphere. Let's just say that.
Hell yeah.
But any sponsors, anything else, anything else you want to mention, man?
I don't even know if I'm gonna say it. Fuck it. I just partnered with Bijanari. They're a jujitsu and grappling brand. So you'll start to see me in some of their like advertising and wearing some of their gear. Um, that actually just got finalized this weekend. So shout out to them. I appreciate them coming on board and being a part of the Myles Robinson team. West Side Barbell again. They allow me to be this beast that I am. Immortal diet optimization with Eddie Rovnak helps me get my weight down. He takes care of all my nutrition and hydration for my fighting. Helps me lean out. I'm a pretty decent sized dude, so he helps get. He's a mad scientist when it comes to this nutrition stuff. Helps me lean out, get down to being a string bean, and then filling back up to Hercules every fight. Um, we got who else we got? The Armory. I want to really shout out to them. They're if you're in the Central Ohio area, please look into the Armory. It's an amazing place. They have a 44,000 square foot weightlifting facility, two 24/7 gyms that are accessible to members. Along with that, you get a primary care physician and physical therapy and all the recovery that you need all under one package. So I've been able to go there through a partnership with Westside and take care of any ailments or things that I have had come up during camp. I've been able to go in there and get taken care of. The physical therapy, everybody's professional. They're athletes. So they kind of have a different perspective on some of the things that come up when you go in there. I'm able to be honest with them about what my goals are, and they kind of understand from an athletic perspective of what I'm trying to do and how to accomplish it. It's a great team over there. Second Glance Hair and Nail Salon, that's my mom's salon in Bexley. She's a massage therapist, and she's been doing hair for longer than I've been alive, but she also helps take care of like any knots or anything that I get from lifting and training and keeping me going. They also have, if you're in the Central Ohio area, um, September 21st, they're having an event in Bexley where they're putting murals on all the buildings. They're going to have a concert in the parking lot of my mom's shop, which is on Maine and Grandin. They're doing a mural, having a concert, and everything. If you're around, please go check that out and tell it that Miles sent you. And
That's
outside of
awesome.
that, I hope I didn't miss anybody. If I did, I love you guys and don't be too mad.
What's the Jamaican sea moss? Who's that?
Thank you for saying that because he's gonna kill me. Imosh, so that's AJ Dobson. That is Iris Seamoss. That is one of the greatest things known to man. One of the best products I've ever taken. I don't really take supplements in any way, shape, or form, but I will take some sea moss every day for the rest of my life. It has, don't quote me, like 112 nutrients that your body needs just naturally in it. He sells it out of Bexley Natural Food Markets and Clinton Natural Food Markets. And if you reach out to him on Instagram, I'm sure he's able to meet up with you at some location and give you samples or try or anything like that. But it gives you energy, helps. If I get sick, I start to take some. If I start to feel symptoms, my son loves it. If he starts to get a cold, we give him some, and it turns you right around. It's amazing. It's like a miracle plant, and he has some of the best stuff that I've ever tried personally. There's other stuff that's around where they put flavoring in it and everything like that. And I just don't think it's the same kind of product. And he gets his directly from the source. It's straight from the ocean, straight off the coast of Jamaica. He's Jamaican himself. His family goes out and gets that stuff themselves. Um, can't say enough about the product. If you're able to get to either Bexley Natural Food Markets or Clintonville, go check those out as well.
Yeah, I've been to the Clintonville Natural Foods. I'm gonna have to go get some next time I'm up in
Yeah, for sure.
Columbus.
Yes,
I better
sir.
try that, man. I'm running. I'm training for a marathon right now. So any
I'll
recovery
get
I can
after
get,
it. Yes,
any
sir.
recovery I can get, I'm like I will take it.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah, man, thank you so much. October 5th, Miles Hershey
Sure.
Robinson making his way up to Madison, Wisconsin, going to bring a victory back home to the Buckeye State. Thank you so much for joining me, man.
Hell yeah. Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll be back next week with another episode.